Okay, we're going to have to do a little bit of math here. I need to make a jig uh, in order to cut a mortise here that's outlined here in pencil. It's very difficult to see it, but what I want to do is make a mortise for this. This is brass. It's made by Brusso. Some people say Brusso, whatever. But this is called a Lid Stay. These are very expensive. They aren't cheap. It's made in New York, New York. Got a very fine finish on it, and it has to have a mortise. The mortise is going to be about ½ inch deep. ½ inch deep. This tool right here, it's called a Stanley 136. You can find these that are similar to this. They're made of brass. This one has brass and wood, which is a disadvantage because wood wears out too fast and it does not hold tolerances very well. But it's good enough for this kind of work. All right, so this whole thing is 2 7/8. We have that up here. So I need a mortise that's 2 7/8. But there's a problem. Because this router, I'm going to use this bushing. The bushing is 3/8 OD, outside diameter. It has a 1/4 inch bit in it. That is a 1/4 of an inch, but like a lot of things, they are not exact measurements. It's a little bit over a 1/4 of an inch. This Lid Stay is under a 1/4, which means there's going to be about less than a 1/64 of an inch gap around this once I make the mortise. Well, since I have this bushing in here and it's 3/8, we got this over here. 3/8 minus a 1/4 equals an 1/8. Now what do you do with that 1/8 of an inch? Well, if you're going to make a jig to cut this mortise with this bushing, there's going to be a 1/16 of an inch on either end of the jig to make up for this bushing. So divide this in half. And that equals a 1/16. So my jig is going to have to be bigger than 2 7/8. So you take 2 7/8, add 1/8, and you get 2 8/8, which equals 3 inches. So my jig is going to have to be 3 inches. And so this area in here will be cut out, and then I'll have two pieces like this up here, like this, something for my router to ride on. Oops. So this gap in here is going to be 3/8. If you're going to measure something that's very precise like that, don't use your tape measure, use this. This is pretty precise. This is made by Empire. It's just a square, and it's adjustable. So it's more precise this way, and I'm going to use this to make this gap. Because the saw wobbles and everything, I'm going to make it a little bit heavy, a 3/8 heavy 3/8 because of the wobble in the saw. I'm going to use a push stick like this. Now I'm going to show you what this cutter is going to look like in the groove. Now here's the groove here, and if you will see in a minute, you'll see how it works. But we're going to enlarge this like this. And you got to remember that there is bushing in this router. Right there, that brass colored part. All right. But basically, we want this cutter to cut a groove. And here is the basic, I'll draw the basic shape of the cutter. You have this round part. And then there's a blade that sticks out like this, and it's shaped like this. And then there's another one, and it is also cutting on the outside of this circular area. Okay. And this isn't an exact representation, but this shows you that when I am moving this cutter through this groove, it's taking off shavings right here. And you will see little chips shaped something like that, because it's peeling wood off of this area. And the same with this one. The chips are coming out here. And they don't all look like that because it's moving so fast, about 10,000 to 20,000 RPM. But it's turning this way. And it's cutting this groove like that. Now, you can either go this way with your cutter, or you can go this way. It's better to go this way because that is how the router bit is made. It is made to go this way, not the other way. You can go backwards like that, but you will not have as much control over your router and router bit. So when we come down here to this groove right here, this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. And if you look at this cutter, the shape of it, here's what I'm talking about. This cutter cuts right here. This is very sharp right there in that area. If I can get a pointer here, I'll show you what I mean. Right there. That cutter is shaped specifically so that I can come over here to this groove right here that I made. I took two pieces, square pieces like this. I cut these, and then I put these small pieces in here, and these are about 3/8 of an inch. And then I glued it together with super glue. And now I'm going to take this cutter and I'm going to cut a little bit more, little by little, and it will continually cut this groove right here. Now I could use a plunge router, but I don't have that capability in my plunge router. Okay, so I'll loosen this on this Ryobi, unlock it, and then move this cutter out a little bit. You don't want to move it too much. Okay, now I'll turn it to make sure it's not hitting the inside of the bearing or bushing. And then I'm going to put this, well, but let's go back and take it down first, because I want to show you something that I'm going to try. And another thing about this, when you tighten and loosen this area, this lock, it makes the router move because it's not made very well, frankly. And unfortunately, that's one characteristic of Ryobis, but they can be used. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I've already cut through here a little bit into my box. So I'm going to take this, put it here, and there is a little bit of play, about probably around a 32nd of an inch. Okay. I'm going to take and mark this over here. I'm going to take my square and I'm going to make a line right there. And this is going to be a place for my router to rest against. way I'm doing this is I'm setting it down so the bushing is exactly where I want it, and then before I turn it on, just tilt it back just a little bit. Then let it come to a complete stop, because otherwise you're going to make mistakes and it's going to mess up your cut.